Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, it is your favorite dark sorcerer here, and today I want to talk to you a little bit about knowing rather than to accept established norms. And this is something that you'll find on social media hugely. Okay. Now, since I started walking the path of a necromancer, not only as a traditional Satanist, but as a necromancer just about a year or two ago, I've really wised up. I've really learned quite a bit. And I started seeing a pattern on social media out there in the world. And I think it's time that, this gets addressed. I've always noticed it, but I never got involved in it. I've always picked my battles little bit by little bit, and I never attack unless somebody has made it personal. Okay, a personal attack. So this is going to be the first time that I discuss this type of thing. Every religion has what is known as sect law. Okay, this is a philosophy, a set of guidelines that is taught to initiates. There are different levels of initiation processes that are established with certain sects. Okay, and in certain religious accounts, there is guidelines, rules, regulations that are established. Okay. For an example, look at Christianity, the JCI. There are 10 commandments, right? Okay. So these 10 commandments make up 666 laws, the laws of the land. You look at your local government, you look at your local region, and you'll see a grand total of 666, the mark of the beast. Okay. And Christians will put this on Satan, they'll put it on whoever. It's that passive attitude. Because if you're not following their church, their guidelines, then you are the enemy and you are of the devil. Okay, their devil. Now, what's ironic is that when we go into, say, for an example, the African Caribbean systems, we see that each sect has a house. You take Palo, for an example, there are different houses, different um, practices that are done within these houses. Okay. It's just like in Voodoo, Creole with a K, which is out of a Neapolitanic state, by the way, one of two in the US. A lot of people don't know that because a lot of people don't, a lot of schools don't teach this stuff anymore. They spell it with a C, not a K, and it's supposed to be a K. Okay. And what's interesting is this type of voodoo is different from that of Haitian voodoo. Okay, out of Haiti and the Dominican Republic. Okay, and these types of areas are different from that of the old country. Okay, meaning Africa. All right, and each sect has a different set of established norms, established guidelines, who they can teach, when they can teach, and what they share. Okay. So somebody coming from, let's say, for an example, a that appears to be white. Okay. Just out of an example, because everything seems to be about fucking race today. And to be fair, that fucking pisses me the fuck off. Okay? I hate that shit. It's beneath me. Okay? It is beneath me. Okay? Because I don't get involved in worldly shit. I don't get involved in politics. I don't get involved in the legal system or the drama of the public, the mainstream publics. I will reply to individuals. And like I said earlier, if you make it personal by attacking me personally or one of mine, I will bury your ass through the magical system. Not just through magic, but through knowledge. Okay? Plain and simple. Now, the one thing I've learned in 32 years is the fact that knowledge is power. Knowledge and understanding is power. And true power is undefiled wisdom. This came from Anton Szandor LaVey. Okay? And this man was right. It is power. It is undefined wisdom. Every sect, every tradition has these guidelines. Doesn't matter if you're following the 10 Commandments. It doesn't matter if you're following the Satanic Creeds. It doesn't matter if you're following the laws and regulations put forth by the high priests, the Babalawas. I probably just butchered the hell out of that name, but it's okay. So if I did, I apologize. All right. So my point is this. So many people are wrapped up in the worldly views. Okay? So fucking wrapped up in it. Doesn't matter if it's race, doesn't matter if it's moral creeds, like say, you don't want to piss off the boss because he or she will just do this or that. And it's like, why would I stand when there's corruption there? Okay? Why would I stay silent? The Nine Noble Virtues, for an example, says, I will speak truth even if it is a hard truth. I will protect the truth even from those who do not honor it. Okay? You see, it's a form of integrity. It is a form of understanding. It is a type of virtue that you take into yourself as a form of a creed, an oath. Okay? Just like a police officer is supposed to uphold the legal laws, the laws of the land. Same exact thing. You take those oaths, you either honor it or put up your badge. Okay? Over the last year, we have seen, well, let's just say the last few years, couple of years, you've seen the death of an African American man, George Floyd. Okay, the by a police officer, an African American professor who locked himself out of his own house was arrested for burglarizing and breaking and entering into his own home. Okay, I shit you not, that actually occurred down in Massachusetts. I think it was Boston, if I'm not mistaken. And then earlier this year, there was some kind of, I can't remember the name of the story, but it was right offhand. There was a harassment type thing of an African American. I can't remember what it was about either, but I missed that story completely. So I cannot speak to it. But I am bringing it up because it was actually something that was on social media. They made a big stake, I guess. I don't know. It was during a time I wasn't even on social media. So, but anyways, so my point is that so many people make false assumptions. So many people are so stuck on drama that they need that drama in their life to even get by on a day-to-day basis. So, like I said, I've been practicing necromancy now for a couple of years. Okay, really delving into it on a serious note, a serious level. I've studied and practiced everything from Satanism, witchcraft, shamanism, herbalism, and most importantly, some of the African Caribbean traditions, not just that such as Santa Morte. Okay, I am a devout when it comes to Santa Morte, but I've also been associated with Palo Mayombe. I've been really delving further into Palo Monte, which is a African Caribbean tradition that goes all the way back to the Congo region of Africa. Okay, so I'm going to bring something up on my phone. Okay, and this is a Facebook. Um, this is a Facebook group specializing in voodoo. Okay, the name of the group is African Spirituality Introduction for Newbies. Okay, now you'll see a lot of groups like this. Those who claim to be practitioners of certain arts and practices. Okay. Now, if these people were actually practitioners, then they would know about humbleism and how to present themselves, not only amongst their own kind, but also in their own public forums. Okay. So here it is. A lot of times when you get into social media, you're going to come across about maybe I'm going to go with roughly about a hard estimate of probably about 86% fakes. Okay, maybe even 90%. These people are fakes. They are just wannabes that have nothing to do with actual practices. Okay, I was talking with an elder, a more superior mage than myself, just early this morning. And I was talking with her about this because of the fact that I have been practicing Haitian Voodoo. I've really been drawn to that system now for over 6 months, just about 6 months. It's been, I got introduced to Papa Gedi last year. Okay. So I've been doing a lot of research into him and his family of Loa. Okay. And I've slowly been getting into the entire system of Haitian Voodoo. I've been following the tradition and I've been getting in touch with certain practitioners. And I've really learned a lot about these systems. Okay. And not just that how to contact the lower themselves, but also through their rites and rituals. So here it is. Like I said, you're going to come across racism. You're going to come across false assumptions, and you're going to come across these fakes and these wannabes. So I want you to prepare yourself here because this is a a group that's into Haitian Voodoo. Okay, African Spirituality Introduction for Newbies is the name of the group. So what I did, and this is an experimentation that I've done. Okay, based off some things that people have been coming to me with, but more so what I was in a discussion with my elders. Okay, more superior mages and sages. Magi and sage. Now, over the last couple of years, I've really been getting into the cults. I've been getting into the orders, and lately I've been getting into the sect law of these foundations, going as far back as the Order of the Black Robes, 2nd century. Okay, to forward to Hermetics, the Knights of Templar, and so forth, and the Hashishin, the Dark Hat. Okay, and such. So I've been in a lot of groups over the years, and I found that most of these people in higher, the admin positions, they themselves are a cancer because they don't know what they're talking about. Okay. Even Bokor Leonard Emira spoke this. Okay, but he used his own words, and he was talking about his own experiences. Okay, but when we're talking about knowing, you should have your elders at the top. Okay, not these young pups that are around, let's say, 30 and below. Okay, 35 and below. No, you should be 40 or above to be even considered to be in the higher ups, unless you're in a family hierarchy, a family lineage. Okay, the hereditary family line. And what this is people who have a family history serving particular spirits, such as demons, the Loa, the Orisha, okay, or even the old gods, okay, such as Hecate or Anubis. Say, for an example, Artemis, okay, and such. So when you get into groups, it's always good to test the group. So what I did was I decided, you know what, I'm going to get into some of these groups because number one, as somebody that comes off as white, as in 100% white, guess what? It's going to be harder for you to get into a house, to be initiated. You're going to have to work your ass off just to get initiated into a particular sect, a particular house. And to do that, you have to study, you have to practice, you have to earn your way. And when you're not black, as one of these individuals, so a couple of these individuals in this group so colorfully pointed out, okay, obviously you're going to have a much harder time. Okay. So, what I like to do is to find out who is real and who is not. Always test. Always test them. Why? Because if you don't, you're going to be led down a desolate road. When I was initiated into Palo Mayumbi in Santeria, when I was living down in South Tucson, I got into all these Facebook groups and I got into a lot of conversations with a lot of individuals, most of which were just throwing earthly things around. I'm talking society type stuff, fetishes. Everything became about sex, okay? Which goes right back to Beelzebub and the Witch's Sabbath, okay? Political texts and such, going as far back as Jewish Haggadah and the Talmud and the Mishra and so many other different scrolls, texts, and stuff from Mesopotamian and Babylonia, and Akkadian and Sumerian belief structures. So, and you just see this stuff after a while, and it's like, okay, these people are way too much involved in the world. You claim to be a spiritualist. You claim to follow spirituality, okay? But do you really? You're sitting here talking smack about somebody else. Well, guess what? These individuals just revealed themselves as fake. I posted a photo of myself, okay, right there. You notice Baphomet, the mala beads around my neck, okay, and I'm outside. I like the outside, okay. I like being in the cemetery and I like being out in the woods. I enjoy it, okay. So I said, "What can you tell me?" You know, because I've only come across maybe three individuals, two, maybe three individuals that all I did was post a photo of myself, and I had two or three people sit there and go, "You got five very powerful demons that walk beside you." I never even said a word. And they named off the spirits that I actually work with. Okay. This is how you know what a real spiritualist is about. They have that intuition, they have that insight that the world doesn't have. Okay. So like I said, I posted this in this group and a few others, by the way, just doing a little bit of an experiment. I haven't heard anything from any other group, just this one. And I posted this roughly, what was it, about 9 hours ago. So I said, what can you tell me? Prince Angelo Jamil. Okay, we as Black people need to chill sometimes. I saw on one positive comment from one member. Well, actually, let me go back here because that's way, 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 way. There's a lot of. Okay. Justine Fields. What do you want to tell me? NATO Jenkins. This is why gatekeeping is needed. Goodbye. Let's see. Underneath that one, you have Ray Nay Crossed. NATO Jenkins, I scream. Apostrophe, apostrophe, emoji with us laughing with tears. Okay. Christina Cross. Why is he in here? Emerald Queen. I see a colonizer spirit. Ha 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 ha. I don't know. Dude. Wrong group. Okay. And by the way, the smiley face is two emojis. The ones I mentioned before. Karma Ray Palmer. Nailed it. Four emojis. Okay. Lamb Foster said, I can tell you that your medallion won't get you any goodwill in this group. Many of my people aren't. You notice the term, my people aren't as spiritual as they claim they want to be. I've visited groups who share your specific religion, and they are far more friendly, accepting, and well-mannered than what you will find here. These people haven't progressed enough to look beyond their personal hangups. And to be honest, your intro was a bit impersonal and presumptuous. This speaks on somebody who's educated, okay? And I respect that, I do. Next time, try being a little more specific about what you seek in this group, okay? With the old Christian hands out like so, okay? With the word attention in it. I found what you're looking for is what's written underneath it. Sean Foster, okay, or Shawnee King rather, typed in Lamb Foster with a puppy in the word yes, a GIF, by the way. Sonia Frazier. I'm not even gonna state this one because it's just a photo of a person going, you know. So Chantel Crawford, emoji with the eyebrow raised. Queen Asha, ASA, out. Uncle Martin's. I'm not even gonna pronounce his last name because of the Uchi. Was it Uchi Martins? Something. It's UCHE Martins, and then the last name is ATUEYI. Okay. I got my ex-boyfriend back with the help of a great cult, Dr. Marcus. He is the great love caster and healer that helped me bring back my ex who left me for another woman. Oh, okay. So this person was actually a woman. So I do apologize. And gave the guy's email address, a Facebook account. Okay. Now I've actually visited this guy's site, and he seems to be on the up and up. No Illuminati bullshit, no nothing. So if you're into it, hit that guy up. Okay, his name's Dr. Marcus, the healer. Okay, so Angelica Green, that you don't belong here. No shade. Sherry Bishop, the anime version of an African going type thing. I'm not even going to pronounce this person's name either. It's you in a cult. Erica I Ayola spoke on that person. A cult is a young horse. Then that person replied. They replied a few more times. He not black. TF. You talking about? I'm talking about myself, she says. IDGAF. What the fuck does that stand for? I mean, seriously. I mean, I know I'm still catching up on the whole, abbreviation thing, but this is just ridiculous. About this man. I just figured you would want to know so you don't make the same mistake in front of someone whose opinion actually matters. That I respect. This person sticking up for her beliefs. Like at a job interview or something. No idea why people get offended when you try to give them a heads up so they don't embarrass themselves. But okay. Erica, this person says, LOL, I'm a comedian. I don't get embarrassed. What's understood don't need to be explained. Okay, and goes on a couple more times. But then you get into this and you get a few more and a few more. And then there was one individual, okay, Samira Robinson. Are you a part of that satanic temple or church thing where they had built the statue where they had the Ten Commandments? You're talking about the satanic temple. If you're going to speak on something, at least know the name and what you're talking about. Demira Brinkley, colonizer. Ifa Demiro, probably just butchered this person's name, and I do apologize if I did. LOL, emoji. Latia Smith, emoji. The with a GIF, by the way, of a black man or a black African American or just plain African person holding up a white sign. They Fina drag you. What the fuck does that mean? Okay. Bucka T. Jones. First of all, get rid of that talisman. Awatundi. I'm not even going to get into this person's spelling of their name because it's ridiculously long. Um, hmm. What I see in you, I see a serial killer. I am sure check if your check the feels behind him, somebody tie up D a day, DEY. First of all, I've never been convicted of a crime. Second of all, I've never been in trouble with the law. In fact, I'm actually on good standing with the PDs. Janelle Emorai. Wow. WTF. Admin at. See that emote, see that abbreviation I actually understand. Out of all of this, that's only the first thing that I understand when it comes to abbreviations. I can't tell you, Kayla Love, I can't tell you much, but if you wear that symbol, it's because of either one of two reasons. A, you think it's cool and edgy and are a follower, or B, you know some deep secrets about the true meaning behind it that most people don't. Right there, you nailed the B thing, hands down. And two, both A and B is kind of the same. Because one, I am a follower of demonolatry. Second of all, as a practicing Satanist, traditional and theistic Satanism, Baphomet is seen as several different ways. Knowing the history behind the symbol will help you. It was not always a satanic symbol. It goes back hundreds of years. And Hope Dupree, okay? Someone looking for truth and is looking everywhere for it. Good luck to you. Mel's Bramble. Hello, mister. I don't know you from Adams, but you got to look it into yourself. Oop, the hell just happened? Okay, there we go. And this answer is there. Okay. Now, what's interesting to know is that this one individual, Dana Davies, okay, this is one that I really want to touch on because I actually replied to her. I'm not even going to waste my time with these other asshats. Anna Davis says, "You are lost. You are looking for a place of belonging, and for some reason you thought you might find it here. What you are actually attempting to do is understand that deep sense of hate for Black people that you were raised with." Okay, first of all, I'm going to stop right here. Okay, my elder is an African American man. I am friends with a lot of African Americans. Okay, I have African friends worldwide on my Facebook. So how can I have hatred for them? Hmm. I've already stated that I am not into the worldly views. I don't care if you are red. I don't care if you're black. I don't care if you're Cuban. I don't care if you're Hispanic or whatever creed that you are. That shit don't matter with me. I don't care if you're gay. I don't care if you're a lesbian. I don't care if you're a tri, bi, or whatever. You can be an asexual for all I care. Okay. So this person stating that I have hatred towards African people. Wow. So wrong there. Okay. So let's get in here. You won't find that answer here or by putting yourself around Black people. The answer lies within you and your lineage. Right there, that one verse. The answer you seek is with your lineage. Number one, voodoo is a family lineage. Okay? I'm putting that right out there, right up front, because of the fact that anybody who's done their own homework into voodoo of any caliber, be it African, Dominican Republic, Haitian, or even that of Creole, okay, will understand that. When you find it, it's not going to make sense to you. It's going to baffle and behoove you. And because you look at yourself with more shame and guilt than you already do, well, number one, I don't feel shame or guilt of any kind because I'm not associated with the JCI dogma. That is shadow work. First of all, if you know anything about shadow work is where you're observing actions, you're observing things from a distance. Okay. You look at, depending if you're looking at shadow people or you're looking at actual shadowmancy practices. Okay. Mancy practices involve the manipulation of shadows, transporting yourself from one shadow to another, and a lot more. That's only just a small little gift of it. There's so much more that goes into that practice. So this individual really doesn't understand what shadow work is. And when you find that is shadow work, you can work through that while it may be hard. You have to redeem your own soul. No one can help you with that. Okay, first of all, redeeming a soul. That's another JCI dogmatic view. The whole view of redemption comes from the JCI. This is the Judo Institution, Christian Institutions, JCI for short. Their whole motto is repentance, baptism. Okay? Did you ever wonder why all the African Caribbean systems now incorporate Roman Catholicism into their systems? Look at South Africa. Hell, in fact, look at Africa in general. It's ruled by the JCI. On one hand, you have Islam, one of the more bigger dominating forces. On the other hand, you have the Catholics and the other branches of Christianity. And then you have the actual practitioners that are mixed up in this and have to remain secret most of the time, depending on what part of Africa they're in, because otherwise they would be killed. You see, you would know this if you were an actual practitioner. So, anyways, as I was saying, let me get rid of that real fast. I replied to Hannah Davis and I said, "You're so far off topic. First off, my elder is an African American man. So your statement is false. Secondly, I have no shame or guilt of any kind, so that too is false, is a false statement on your part. Third, the Baphomet is a symbol not originally of Satanism, which most get wrong. It spans back centuries to the Knights of Templar and goes into Hermetics and Middle Eastern beliefs, such as the Goat of Mendes and into Jewishism. Okay, not just witchcraft. Fourth, I can only trace my line back 5 generations due to not knowing my family. Papa Gedi guided me this far. Fifth, I am Native American, a half-breed. My mother was white, my father Indian. 6, the only ones judging through race is those in this group and others like it. Okay? I have only found 2 groups with actual practitioners of African and Haitian voodoo. But this is just another case of morons not knowing their shit. Judgmental, closed-minded fools without humility or humbleism. Mala beads are associated with monks of Tibetan, necromancers of Africa and Greek shamanism, and goes right into European shamanism. Okay? It's tied into so many different systems. But if these people, even in Voodoo practices, they wear mala, okay? Various different types of beads. In this case, as a necromancer, jade. Okay, okay. So I said, again, fakes, not knowing, but instead judging. This is why I posted the way I did. Every day should be a day of learning and growing for any practitioner. When you're ready to talk seriously, then we'll talk. And then she replied to me and said, "You asked for a read, sir," which is what I intuitively and divinely provided. Well, if that's what she calls a reading, wow. And she is way, way off. She needs to go back to beginner school and learn actual tactics. And by tactics, what I mean is you have to become one with spirits. The intuitiveness isn't coming from you, but from the spirits. Anytime I do a reading of any kind, I call upon the spirits to guide me. I remove myself from that reading so that I can be a conduit for that spirit. Okay? You see, when you're doing cartomancy, divination through tarot cards, Okay? Runes. Okay? You remove yourself and you make yourself a conduit so that while you're shuffling the deck and you're drawing those cards or casting those runes, the spirits are the ones guiding it because it's their message for that individual. This person would know this. Despite what you are able to trace back to, this is part of you that you only surfaced, dived into to heal. First of all, who said anything about healing? I don't need healing. Okay? I didn't ask for healing. I asked the question, what can you tell me? You see the big difference there. What can you tell me? Not, I need healing. It's not about race. It's not about creed. You see the point. Okay? There is more work to be done in that area so you can fully heal it from your core. Intentions of readings are to provide information. It is up to the person as to have they perceive them. If the perception is negative, then usually something unheard was triggered. Okay? So I've read to you every comment, and there was somebody else that was actually in the process of commenting while I was reading. So that's probably more negative bullshit. Okay? So as I was saying earlier, anybody who gets into any tradition will learn the creed. You'll learn the laws of the land. In Africa, it comes down to the laws of the land because different regions of the world, different tribes have different regulations. Okay. But as I was talking with one of my elders, okay, a superior sage, okay, I stated point blank that a Bokor is somebody who's not initiated into any system. Okay, you're self-taught, but a Bokor can easily become a Hungan or Membo. Okay, just like a Membo or a Hungan can easily, through their practices, become a Bokor. Okay, and the information there, the Kapalata is the female version of a Bokor. A Bokor with a C is actually a witch doctor. Okay, so don't get that one mixed up with those. So, anyways, so it's always good to test people when you're going into any system. Okay, if you're looking into any Facebook group or social media, I always tell my apprentices when you get into a system, okay, first thing you want to do is you want to do a background check. Okay, by background check, I'm talking mythology of the spirits of that system, the history of the people. Okay, in this case, we all know the slave trade. Okay, from Africa through the Caribbean systems all the way up into North America. Now, I publicly stated in one of my videos last year that when I got into Haitian Voodoo, I was shocked to find out that voodoo was actually practiced in Russia. Okay, that was a complete shock and surprise to me. Okay, I had no idea that it was there. Okay, so speaking of social media, somebody just chimed in on my Facebook account. Anyways, even with that shock, as a necromancer, I was tracing the Shem priesthood. I was tracing the history of orders and foundations, such as the Hashishin. okay, which originally started out in Egypt, Giza, okay, Africa. They were the Shem priests who performed the rites and rituals that were associated with the Egyptian Book of the Dead. Okay, this led me into Middle Eastern traditions, not the more common Greek and Roman. All right, so this led me into the Hashishin. The Hashishin led me into the Darkhead, which was led by Genghis Khan. Okay, dark shamanism. This led me into the Knights of Templar. Everybody through who knows a little their most basic history knows about the Knights of Templar. Okay, this symbol right here, this symbol was not originally Satan, a part of Satanism. Anton Zendel made it a part of Satanism when he created his church, the Satanic Church, the first above ground Satanic Church. That's the Church of Satan, not to be mistaken with the other denomination, the Satanic Temple. You see, if these people actually did their homework before speaking, they would know this. The only one going public with lawsuits and making a big splash is the Satanic Temple. They would know this. I'm aware of this group, but I'm not associated with them. I'm aware of the JOS, the Joy of Satan. They have a lot of good stuff, but it does not mean I agree with the Hitler stuff that they practice. Okay? When you get into things like mantras, kundalini, meditations, evocations, invocations of any spirit, this stuff is associated with witchcraft, going as far back as Nicaea, which is an ancient Greek practice of both shamanism and necromantic rites, calling on spirits, not just practices themselves. But this stuff is all around the world. Okay, this is all around the world. Doesn't matter if it's Aztec, Incan, Native American, Greek, the old pantheons of Wiccan and paganism. You get into Christianity, most of their doctrine is stolen from these older traditions. But how would these people in this group know this if they didn't do their own research, their own homework? So when I talk to my apprentices and I'm teaching them, I always tell them, go through mythology, go through history. When you delve into the practices, do your homework into the practices. Don't stick to one source. Branch out into other sources, okay? Because there's a huge difference between Haitian Voodoo, Dominican Republic Voodoo, Creole Voodoo, and that of African Voodoo. Huge difference. The only thing that stayed constant was the Loa, the spirits. Their traditions even changed. Okay, when they incorporated the Catholicism into their system, you can see where that changes. You got to remember that you have to go all the way back to not only monotheistic times, but polytheistic times, when things literally started changing into spiritualism. You go back before that. Let's go back to the 6th century BC. Okay, that's before Christ. Okay. You see groups like the Eshin, which is an African practitioner, by the way, a practice of witchcraft. The Aji, which is also African. The Hexa, Haxa, which is Swedish. Okay. The Strega, Romanian and Italian witchcraft. This goes all the way back to the 6th century and can be easily traced back that way if you know what you're talking about. So to sit here and say that this symbol is associated with devil worship, you really have to understand where it goes and comes from. It's like the swastika. All people really remember of the swastika is that Adolf Hitler made it a symbol of hate. And here we are today, still going on about racism. As far as I can tell, the only one making a stink about racism is Africans. I'm not saying that they're to blame for it. No. I'm saying that the only ones who's making a big fuss about it is them and making it about race. You read what I posted. Most of the individuals who posted on that one post was Africans. Okay? When you get into any sect, if you're not from that system, you're going to have a hard time getting into it, which is why you have to work your ass off to get into that system. You have to prove your way yourself. You have to earn your way. You get into some of these more um, secret sects, okay? These secret orders and these foundations. They're not going to do the work for you. You have to step up and become the adult. You have to step up and become the man or the woman and learn for yourself. No one else is going to do that for you. Do you know how many people from Ghana or Malawi come to me on a daily basis asking to become part of Satanism? And then when you go to talk to them, they have no clue about the difference between Satanism and the Illuminati. They only have one thing on their mind: fame and fortune. Fame and fortune. They have no recollection of there's a difference between these two foundations. They're two different orders, two different foundations. Second of all, when it comes to individuals coming here, do you know how many practitioners? You look at, for an example, I'm going to call out a couple of practitioners here. Let's go with the tomb of Scarab. He's an African American man. He's an African American. One hell of a practitioner. I get a lot of respect for this guy. Hell, I even follow him on YouTube. He knows his shit. I'm highly impressed with how much sophistication he puts into his videos on a professional level. Personally, I wish I had the understanding of technology like he does. Okay? And then you get into, let's say, for an example, my elder. Okay? My elder. A man that I look up to and really, really respect. He has guided me through a lot the last couple of years. And now that I'm an apprentice of one of his seconds or thirds, yeah, thirds. I'm just going to call them thirds. I got a lot of respect for this foundation. Anytime I've gone to this man and said, hey, I'm looking to get into this. I'm about to do this type of ritual. Is there anything that you could suggest? Anything that you recommend that I've not thought of? Okay. And this man has always come to me. And keep in mind, this is also an African American man. Okay. He's a necromancer. And his background happens to be Voodoo. Okay. Voodoo. Okay. This man is my Yoda. My Yoda. And yes, I just used a Star Wars terminology. Yoda, if you caught that reference. Yoda, teacher. Sensei, if you're into the martial arts. Grand Master is what he would be. A godfather type. So to sit there and say and make it about race, I'm white, you're black. No, that's JCI bullshit. That's worldly bullshit that I don't give two shits about. I'm into spiritualism. I'm into knowledge, wisdom, education. I don't just study these practices daily. I don't just live these practices daily. No, it is a way of life for me. I don't disrespect the spirits that I work with. If I make an oath or I do a deal, a pact with a spirit, it's a legally binding contract. A legally binding contract, meaning you do not go against it. You can refine it at a later date because the spirits know that as you grow, so too are your practice is going to grow. Your altars are going to grow and shrink. New things are going to be added to it. You're going to be refining your practices underneath their guidance, their tutelage. So to sit here and try to make it about race, no, that shit's beneath me. I don't give two shits about worldly views. I don't care if people like me or they hate me. That's on them. I have friends from every creed, every race. And just about every religion out there. But when you get into these groups, they always make it about race. Every fucking time. Which is why I always recommend do your own research up front. Do your own history right up front. Pick up several books. I have one from Creole. I have, no, actually, scratch it. I have two from Creole. I have three, four, well, three or four from Haitian Voodoo. I have two more on the way. And most importantly, I've studied the Yoruba people, their history. I've studied the route of the slave trade. I've studied Haitian Voodoo seriously. And while I was studying Slavic witchcraft, I was introduced to Papa Gedi, who is the leader of the third class of Loa. Third class of Loa, put in place by Baron Samedi himself. Papa Gedi introduced himself to me. I described the individual that I saw during ritual to my elder. And that's what he told me. He came back and he said, sounds like Papa Gedi. You see, anytime you get into a tradition, there is no need to hurry. This is one of the biggest mistakes I see today is people are in so much of a hurry. They want to have that easy button so they can master it like overnight. I read a book, I'm a master. I'm a master, I'm a lord of darkness. Now, it don't work like that. As I told my teacher and one of the senior sages, I'm in no hurry. I'm in no hurry. I've got my entire life to master these arcane arts, these practices. You want to have a firm foundation underneath you, which is why you want to study, not just practice, not just experiment, but to know what you're getting into, what you're practicing. And only then do you go forth and ask questions. Ask questions. It's literally been 4 months since the last time I posted in one of these groups. 4 months. I think the last time, no, actually a lot longer than that, because I think the last time I actually posted in one of these groups, yeah, it was about 4 or 5 months ago, actually. So yeah, it was roughly about 4 or 5 months ago was the last time I actually posted in this group, in some of these groups. Every time I studied, I'd post something that I've been studying, be it on the peristill, be it on the different classes of Loa, how they were viewed, about the difference between the Bokor, the Hangan, and the Membo, the Bebalao, or Babalawi. I think the E is actually silent for him. I think so, anyways. The Babalao, because I've heard it pronounced so many times through YouTube videos. And you can actually get into YouTube videos. You can go underneath Google. You can go to these practitioners themselves and learn. But you got to be initiated into their system. Otherwise, you're a Miramberos in the Caribbean traditions, such as Palo or Santeria, okay, or the Bokor in Buddha, okay, the uninitiated types. But guess what? Just because you're uninitiated doesn't mean you can't practice and get involved with the Loa or the Orisha. And you could easily become initiated down the road. But you have to find the real practitioners. Think of it as going through a minefield of fakes, of dabblers, the wannabes, who are still attached to the world. Because that's what 98% of Facebook is. That's what 96% or 95% of social media is. Yeah, it's brought all these cultures together. But so many people find it easier to hide behind a hide behind a keyboard, and become what is known as a keyboard warrior. So many people would rather be an armchair magician than to actually learn for themselves and become the magician. It's a sad part of life. But you're going to get this no matter what tradition you're in. And the views are always going to be one of segregation. That's the sad part. In the old days, the sages and the mages can go anywhere and learn any tradition. So what changed? Did it change through the slave trade? Did it did it become more of a path working of arrogance and ignorance? When did it change? Hmm. Practitioners are there for the people. They're known as the wise ones, be it with the double U or the double V within European standards of Wicca or witches. Witches and warlocks were known as the people of wisdom. They were the keepers of the secrets. They were the wise ones. So when did it change? When did it change? At what point throughout history did it go from everyone could be taught to you're black or you're white, you're Native American? When did we have to get so politically involved, politically correct? I can see why the real practitioners sit back and do nothing. And they pick their apprentices based off their knowledge, their understanding of the systems that they're getting into. I can see why they take the stance of 6 months to a year. They watch you to see what you do and how far you're willing to go. What are you willing to do to become an apprentice? I'm 42 years old. 42. Half my life has been studying and practicing various traditions from the time I was 11 years old. 11 years old is when I started my journey into magic, sorcery. I'm now 42 years old. The world does not matter to me. It does not matter to me. I don't give a damn who's running for president. I don't give a damn about what movement is going on. I don't care about all this horse shit that people do on a day-to-day basis. I go to work, I do my fucking job, and I leave. The next 3 days, this is what I do. I teach occultism. I teach witchcraft. I teach you history and mythology that you will not learn in school. I'm not going to blow smoke up your ass. And I'm definitely not going to do the work for you. But you want to come at me like that? How little are you? You claim to be practitioners. Apparently, you don't know your own history. Practitioners either lived directly next to the kings in Africa of each village. They were highly respected, highly honored. In European traditions, they either lived just on the outside of the village or they lived out into the boonies. And when Christianity came forth, guess what? They became the bad guy. They became of devil worship. And now it's about race. It's about skin color. Oh, he's white. Well, you fucked that one up. I'm a half breed. I'm half Native American and half white. Wow, what intuition. Mm, fun. Serpent of Sophia. Infernal greetings to you too. I've heard of it. I haven't got into it. I actually found a workbook that was on, I believe it was Amazon a couple weeks back. I just haven't had the funds to go get it. I've had a lot of car repairs between my better half's car and my own. Still more work to be done before I can go out and do that. So I've been gathering books and supplies when I can. So, but yeah, I have heard of it. I don't know much about it though. Um, the Monastery of Seven Rays. That one I've come across in a couple of the Haitian Voodoo books. I believe, if I remember correctly, they are associated with the seven powers of Africa, if I remember correctly. Indeed. You know, Druidism is a lot like shamanism. They worship nature. They were intuitive to the currents of nature. Very, very, not just the plants and everything. They were very cool. Personally, I like the ancient Gaelic traditions of Druidism, not the more modern day versions. I got a friend of mine that lives across seas that's actually a herbalist. He's a shaman in the purest sense. I love his work. I've attended a few of his live streams. Hell, I even had him thinking on a few times with just one statement. And it's like, yep, you walked into that one. But he also gave me the opportunity too, because he opened it just up and I just walked right through that door. But he's a good man. He really is. Let's see. That's interesting. They have recently come into my. Yep. Yeah, they seem to be going into just about everywhere these days. And yes, they are still children. This particular group here, like I said, it's what the hell is Facebook up to now? So, anyways, African spirituality introduction is the name of that group, and most of them, if you look at their profiles, if you go down through their profiles, they're not really posting on anything to do with spirituality, the Loa, or their traditions. It's all about worldly stuff. And so, I mean, even at least this woman that I read at the end, at least she actually admits that a lot of them have not, left their worldly views and that horseshit behind. My first teacher, my first guide, told me there's a separation between a spiritualist, a practitioner of the arts, and that of the world. Christianity knows this as two souls or two spirits. Okay. The way they put it in their Bible is you cannot serve God and men. Okay. You cannot serve two masters because you'll love the one and hate the other, or love the other and hate the one. Okay. And shamanism, the expression of each individual has two wolves, one black. And this goes along with native folklore as well and traditions, is that you have one black and one white. It comes down to you as which one you want to nourish and help grow. So a lot of this time, you have to understand that there are two sides to yourself. You have a dark side and then you have a light side. Which one do you want to nourish and grow? If a lot of times you're going to see most of these individuals who are getting into it wanting to go by the white light aspects. Okay, you have few that dare to walk the gray line. Okay, gray witchcraft, and then you have those who are solely dark arts, black magic. Okay, those who will call on anything from the jinn to the orisha to the loa to the demons. Okay, they will perform baneful magic as easily as they will perform white light healing magic. Okay, you see, this is what the arcane is. It is of growth and personal maturity within your traditions. These people obviously don't. You know, they just want to keep things going. They want to keep that perpetual hatred going. So they'll sit there and go, they'll make it about, well, you're white. This is African, voodoo is a tradition for black people. That's racism. If you've gone through your history and know your history, you will know that every class, creed, and skin color has practiced and been initiated into your system as much as you're a part of the European system. This is history, people. Learn it. This is why when I take on apprentices, I literally tell them if it doesn't add up between mythology and history, don't believe it. Do not believe it. Just saying, don't believe it. This is why it's good to know your shit. Whatever you preach, always back it up and always make yourself available to the public. You answer to the public for your own actions. That group obviously has no knowledge whatsoever of Buddha or African spirituality. Because if they actually practiced spirituality, if they actually utilized intuition, they would have looked at Mala. They would know about this. They would know about the rings, the amulets, the symbols. They would know what these things represent. And in the photo that I posted in these groups, and each group I said something different. Each group I said something different. It was a test that group failed. And trust me, 6 months, 6 months to 8 months after I was introduced last fall to Papa Gadi, Papa Gadi introduced himself to me. That's an honor. That's a privilege when a Loa introduces themselves to you. It is the same thing with a demon. In the Grimoire systems, for an example, Zaniel is a teacher of witchcraft in the Grimoire of Armadale. He does not come out right up front like all these others did. He sits back and lets you do the work to see what you're willing to do for the knowledge that he has to give you. These practitioners, they won't tell you that. They will not show you from various traditions. They will not separate the divisions within any given system. You see, the only thing satanic that they spoke on in this group was the Satanic Temple. If they'd actually done their homework, they would know that there's Luciferianism, theistic, atheistic, traditional, and spiritual Satanism. Just like there's a wide range of divisions in Christianity: Baptist, Catholic, Jehovah Witness, Apostolic, Pentecostal. But they don't know this. And when they contact you, I have no internet. Then how did you get on Facebook? In fact, how did you get to Messenger? How did you get onto YouTube to even find me? Laziness, unmotivation, no motivation whatsoever. You have Google. A 2-second Google search will tell you just about every type of Satanism there is today. There's even demonolators, such as S. Connolly, who is the leading demonolatress today. You have Asenath Mason and her husband, Bill Duvendak, who have been studying the ancient Mesopotamian systems, the Greek systems, the Roman systems, tracing Lucifer back to Phosphoros, ancient Greek, by the way, the day star, not the morning star, such as in Roman, but the day star. So what is their excuse? Why do they not want to evolve? Why do they not want to master themselves? You talk about guilt and shame. Are you sure you're not passing that off on me? Because I dared to go underneath your group and go, what can you tell me? Wow. Ignorance is bliss now, isn't it? You see, that's why I always say test. Test them. Do not accept things up front. Never do. Because you'll be led astray. You'll be led into a lie. I can't tell you how many times throughout the last decade I've shown you guys this. Every so often, I'll put something out. Hell, when an enemy attacks, how many times have I proved them wrong? There was a guy I used to be friends with. We're aware of each other. We're no longer friends, but guess what? We're also brothers now. Brothers. We're in the same tradition. But here's the thing. We don't have to associate to respect each other. So what's this? So what is this? These people's excuse outside of laziness, outside of being unmotivated. Like the JCI, they become stagnant. Slow, strangling death. The world has changed. You're either a spiritualist or you're of the mundane. Spiritualism will come to you in time. These people, they're children. They're newbies. Eventually, they're going to come into their own and they're going to want to learn. They're going to want to evolve. And that's if they haven't burned all the bridges by then. My better half is young. She's younger than me. She's burned a lot of bridges. And when it comes to insurance, well, guess what? Because of putting that in banks, well, guess what? She's burned so many bridges. She's going to have to learn. She's dealing with one of those consequences right now. She can't have a debit card for 6 months. Why? Well, I'm not going to get into that. But what I can tell you is that sooner or later she's going to sit, she, like these people, are going to sit there and go, okay, I got to make amends. I've got to grow. I've got to learn. What do I really want in life? Do I want to stay with the same old stick? Or do I want to evolve? Grow. Personally, I've seen so much shit in my life, so much dogma, so much drama. I've outgrown the world. The world just does not matter to me anymore. I don't care who's running for president. I don't care what's the latest gossip. Well, so my better half was watching what's it called, 911, I think it was called, and I looked. I was surprised to find Ronda Rousey on that show. She looked thinner. She, the NXT fighter who went on to WWE. It was interesting because of the fact that so many people are into the latest thing. I was surprised to see that the Bachelorette was still going on. It's been like 11 years, Figured that would have just died off. You want reality? Get off your computer. Go outside. Go outside. Walk through the woods. Go take a walk through the cemetery. Go to a nightclub. You'll watch all kinds of people just embarrassing themselves, flaunting their shit while dancing. Half of them literally have two left feet. See, I know I can't dance, so I keep my ass off the fucking dance floor. You see the point there. But my point is, know your shit. Know what you're capable of doing. Know what you really want and go for it. Don't let anybody tell you you can't do shit. You want to learn witchcraft? You want to learn sorcery? History and mythology is full of rebellion. Anybody who's a historian, who's ever studied Haitian Voodoo, knows that how many uprisings took place in Haiti and in the Dominican Republic over 200 to 300 years. So you have the French, the Americans, the British, all were kicked out of Haiti within 300 years. America actually went in twice into Haiti before things were accepted, such as Haitian Voodoo is now seen as an established religion there. They're not shunned or discriminated and hunted down. No, they're accepted. Why? Because people evolved. They evolved. Now, if they can just sit back and take care of their economy, they're debt free after 300 years, 200 to 300 years of being in debt to Europe, to France. So, what do you do now? Yeah, there was over the last 20 years, you've got, the tsunami, you got the earthquakes. Their economy is in ruins. They don't have the health care that they need. But why not step up? Why not come together as a culture and see what will benefit everybody? There's a reason why it's called diplomacy. Or are you too afraid that you'll fall back into dictatorships? Huh. Interesting. You live in squalor because you're divided. You got Christians versus voodooists. You got the political against the people. You got literal ruins throughout this land. You have trash all over the place. I've seen the videos on the news, right here on social media, even. Can I speak to that being true? No. Some of these practitioners, they have written books about the history, about the way they live within their village, their town, has spoken to their own personal experiences there. Leonard Amira has literally gone to Haiti, done live videos there. And he's a Bokor, a more wiser man than I within voodooism. But from what I saw, they can always improve themselves. They can always come together and improve themselves if they so chose. So why don't they? A little bit of guidance doesn't hurt. A little bit of understanding doesn't hurt. Step up or step down. It's the way it is. There's no intermediary. There's no in between. You either do or you don't. Get rid of the lies. Get rid of the dogma. Get rid of the excuses. Eventually, you're going to find your true self. And you're going to look at yourself in the mirror and go, hey, who am I? What have I become? What have I allowed myself to become? And most importantly, what do I truly want? After 30 years, after 30 years of studying various traditions, living in the world, I no longer want that shit. There's nothing there. There's nothing in the world that I want. Spiritualism is the only thing that I desire. I want to know what's out there, other planes, other dimensions. I want to get to know the spirits. I want to work with the spirits on a more in depth and personalized manner. I want to grow and mature and become a much better magician. That's me. What about you? What about you? Leave the dogma behind. You want to study a faith? You want to get into a tradition? Do so, but leave the dogma, the hypocrisy, and the stupidity behind. Let the world. Well, actually, you know what? I'm going to quote. I'm going to. I'm going to quote Jesus of Nazareth here because I believe he said it best. Let the dead bury the dead. Plain, simple, to the point. The world's dead. The world is dead. Let them bury themselves. You, as a practitioner, even my better half, looked at me and said, "You're above humanity." I said, "What do you mean?" She said, "You're not ruled by fear. You're not ruled by shame, guilt, or discrimination, or hung up on dogma. She said, you're better than humanity." Up until that point, I've never really considered that. Why? Because I've been too busy studying. I've been too busy practicing, evolving, working in my ritual room to benefit myself and my family. Because that's what matters to me. You need to look at yourselves and decide what's best for you. What's best for you and your family. My better half is a Baptist. I'm an occultist. I'm a Satanist. I'm a necromancer. I'm a Polaro. An alchemist. My faith and my religions, the religion that I walk, she told me point blank to my face that this to me is like breathing. It's as much as part of me in my DNA as our sun is. And that's coming from a Baptist. That's coming from a Baptist to me. Even my own elders are surprised at how far I've come in just a couple of years. Just a couple of years since I stepped foot into necromancy on a full time basis. And it's funny because of the fact that I was told by my elder, who's an African American man, he has never seen anybody evolve as quickly as I have along this path. Ascend, descend, whatever you want to call it. A lot of people are noticing that about me. Perhaps I'm beginning to see that myself. A being that I work with about a year or so ago, I was filled with rage at work one day, and it just came out. Just came out. My boss, he literally just jumped back and ran back into his office. Well, you can't say I didn't warn him. Shouldn't have put me out by the customers anyways. I already told him I was not in a good mood that day. But I told my elder, I said, this is what happened. And he looks at me and says, you were just introduced to this individual, but I would recommend caution. I said, what do you mean, sir? And he says, guess what? He says, with that level of hate, you can burn the world to the ground. That rage. So I went to the spirit and I said, I did my homework on the spirit, and I went to the spirit and I said, if it's not for me and mine, then I don't want it. I don't want it. And since then, I've seen all this drama go away. All that drama, all that stupidity, all that dogma just went away. Just left. I've watched my world change. My family's lives changed. An enemy gone. Actually, two enemies gone. Completely just disappeared from our lives. Doors opened up that were mostly closed to us. My better half ended up getting her license. She's gotten job after job after job. Me, I'm on good terms with my elders at my work, the owner, the district manager, the store manager, the assistant store manager. I could care less if the team leads like me, but yet two of them do, three of them do. Lately, I've been getting a little mean with them, you know, because I answer to only one team lead, or on one day a week, two team leads, depending if the other one's working that day or not. But the ones from the morning, I don't answer to. They're not my team leads. I don't have to listen to them. So, and sometimes you have to do that because of the fact that they will run your life. This one team lead is literally thinking that she owns the fucking store. Now, don't work like that. So, to assume, I'm going to quote Under Siege 2. Assumption, to assume is the mother of all fuck-ups. To assume that somebody is white, to assume that you can't be a practitioner, to assume that you can't practice something because of the color of your skin or the type of religion that you're getting into, that's just worldly dogma. It's what you've been led to believe. And a lot of that is through the JCI lies and hypocrisy. You add in the Hollywood produced films and propaganda, that enforces what they're trying to do. And people just go on believing things at face value. If you want to learn something, learn the history, learn the mythology, learn the arts and practices from various different sources. If it doesn't add up, if it doesn't align with each other, don't waste your time on it. You go into a Facebook group, put a test forth, see who's real and who's not. And I guarantee it, you'll be wiser for it. All right? I want to thank Serpent of Sophia for jumping on here with me, along with Men Like Gods. And what's this? I apologize if I butcher your first name here. Otani? Ani? Ani? Journey? It's Otani. You are welcome. I'm glad this resonated with you. And I will look out for that message. Just note that you said you were going to do this on this video. That way I know it's you. most of the people who send me, I have over 200 friend requests from people that I have not accepted or dismissed on social media. I just let I give them time. If they truly want to be friends with me and they truly want to learn, I give them a good long time to contemplate because I'm tired of adding people that simply turn around, block, and run. Or you get these falsifiers that come in and try to make a big stink over things, and you end up with hypocrites and duelists that bring drama and chaos into your life. We call them psychic vampirism. It's called psychic vampirism. Anton Zandalevay in the Satanic Bible actually spoke on them. They're only there to drain you of your energy. So, but people said you can't do this or that. I mean, you look at what Men Like Dodds just wrote here. Same here, Michael. My girlfriend is a Baptist and told me she has learned more about religion and faith from me than any pastor she's ever known. It's true. It is very, very true. I find it funny that my better half, when she wants something done, she will come to me to do. She wants somebody. She wanted her ex to suffer, to break up from his current his, I was trying to say this, his current girlfriend at the time. I did a lust ritual, separated. She comes to me because it's too hot out. I cast a spell, change the weather, manipulate it a little bit so that it'll gradually cool down or get hotter, especially if you know there's a storm coming. And it's funny because she always comes to me, not her family, who's one of those diehard Christian types that, oh my God, he's not of a Christian. He slept with you out of wedlock and got you pregnant. Oh my fucking God, he's the enemy. Okay? Hate, hate, hate. You know? Yeah, her family hates me with a passion. If I told you the story behind that one, you'd laugh your ass off. But my point is this, is that she knows that my shit works, which is why she comes to me. I'm the alpha of the family. When I speak, even the cats listen. But I'm there to support her and our family. Okay? When her mother found out that she was pregnant, she wanted her to go down to a state that she's never been to people that she does not know. And people actually laugh because I refer to it as a Catholic nun camp. Because that's basically what it is. It's for single mothers. And I looked right at her mother and I said, hey, does she look single to you? Does she look like she's doing this by herself? No. Here we are 4 years later, just about 4 years later after our son was born. September is his 4th birthday, this coming September. So here we are. Yeah, she's trying to get her to go down to this nun camp. And I brought up stuff that she didn't had no freaking clue that I knew. And she just, this sort of thing with her head down. Like, crap, I just got my ass handed to me in a sling. It's like, right there, that should tell you, know what you're speaking of. Okay? I have lived up to every promise I've made to this woman and to our family. Every promise, even to my son. My son comes to me because I live up to my word. Okay? Spirits work with me because I keep my oath, I keep my word. I don't violate that in any way. So people who say that you cannot associate with witchcraft because you're a Christian. Wow. Did Jesus not say, do not turn away little children? Just saying. Just putting that out there. Okay? Just because you're of different faiths does not mean you cannot get along. It's only since Christianity and the JCI came about that all this shit's gone down. And people buy into it. They live in it. Let go of the dogma. Let go of your past affiliations. Learn for yourself. Don't accept things at face value. I read you what men like God said. I even gave you my own testimony. Or at least a portion of that testimony, because there was a lot more involved at the time. Exactly. Men like gods. You know what's funny about that statement there, men like gods, is I watch so many men that come into where I work. And even when I've gone to do laundry with my better half, women tend to stick, together on this. Is that you need to do what you're told. Okay, do what you're told. Okay, even my better half peddles that one to me every so often, and it's funny because of the fact that a man's has a responsibility. Okay, I don't know when it came down to men having to take out the trash or whatever. It used to be just common courtesy where it's equality. Like one does the dishes and the other one dries and puts away the dishes. But now it's like it's a common view of, well, it's a man's job to take out the trash. It's a man's job to maintain the house, to take care of a kid. And it's like, uh-uh. You look at the Christian views on this. Matthew's chapter 7, verse 5. Oh, no, scratch that. It's chapter 19, verse 5. Says, a man shall leave his mother and his father and cleave unto his wife, and they shall become one flesh. There's actually scriptures within the Bible that kind of tells you your responsibilities as a husband or as a wife. Okay, you just have to know where to look. And I've had numerous ministers literally show me where these things are. But what's uncanny about this is that I've actually met maybe two, maybe three Christian ministers tops that have actually gone outside the comfort zone and learned other traditions. Okay, other traditions. Okay, I'm talking. There's this one minister who lives like 30 minutes away from me, right here, right now. And this guy knows a lot about the occult. He and I literally sat down like two or three times and just talked. And we were just shooting the breeze, talking occultism, talking Christianity, talking history and mythology. And it's like very few individuals in Christianity actually know this stuff. And I respect this man, because just as much as he respects me, because at the end of the day, he goes back to his Christian beliefs. I go back to mine. There's no discrimination. There's no hatred. There's no nothing. You see, Christians have forgotten that even the guy that they worship, which is a form of necromancy, by the way, and idol worship, you worship a man on a cross. Is that not considered idol worship? Just saying. Part of the Ten Commandments. Thou shalt not worship anything above in the heavens or below in the earth or on the earth. Ring a bell? Ten Commandments? Just saying. That even Jesus did not raise his hand when he was struck. He took blows. I'm talking physical blows. That takes a man to sit there and allow himself to be beat, whipped, scourged, and then eventually nailed to a crucifix, which was associated with the Roman Empire. Wow. That takes a man right there. Okay. Now you have men beating children with belts in baptism in the Baptist religion. You have women thinking they're superior to a man when it used to be equal. When did that change? Exactly. When did that change in history? When did it come to one class of people is more important than another? You see the point there. It used to be that you did things together. So why do you have all these men without their balls? A woman speaks, they run and cower in a fucking corner. I mean, I've heard the expression, hell has no fury like a woman scorned, but I'm just saying, it used to be equal. When did it become about sex? When did it become about race? Just something else to put out there, which is why this is a serious video. You claim to be of the arts, so why are you not growing? You're a man or woman of faith. Doesn't matter what religion, what philosophy you follow. When did it become about sex? What gender you are? When did it become about sex, as in literal intercourse? When did it become about worldly views? And when did things start changing to be, well, you're white, you can't practice voodoo, or you're black, you can't practice Palo Mayumbi? When did it become about race? When did it become about gender? When did it become about all this other horse shit? You trace mythology and history back, you're going to see the polytheistic, monotheistic times is when this literally started to change things. You go back before this stuff, there was no war, there was no famine, there was no racism, there was no sexism. There was respect. There was equality. Maybe I'm just too old school. I don't know. I have more in common with my elders than I do with the young, people my age or even younger today. Hell, I don't even know what my own son is talking about half the time, and he's 3. And then you got my coworkers using these abbreviations. It's what the fuck does that mean? Basically, yes, I concur with that, men like gods. The monad religions ruined this realm. That is truth. That hands down is truth. See, this is why I stick to myself. This is why I stick to my practices and my studies. And when somebody tries to challenge me, guess what? I am armed with the knowledge, the history, and the sources that I can put forth. I mean, Christians, for an example, talk about Satan. Well, do you even know where the term Satan came from? Well, yeah, it's a Hebrew name. Okay, what about Jewish? What about Islamic? What sources did this name come from? Where did it derive from? The Mishra, the Talmud, the Jewish Haggadah, the should I go on? I can go even the political texts. I can go on and on through all these texts. Why? Because I did my homework. I did my studies, my practices. Hell, I even work with this spirit. Okay? I work with this spirit as a prince. He's a prince. In angelology, he was a Gogori, a watcher angel. He's not associated with Lucifer, a second class, an archangel. Roman goes into ancient Greek, Phosphoros. Same mythology as Prometheus. Stole fire from the gods, gave it to man. Oh, chained to the side of a mountain. Have your liver eaten daily. Let it regenerate, and oops, your torture begins again. And there's other things out there. You look at the story of Jesus Christ. Well, go into Welsh. You got Merlin. You go into was it Sumerian? You have another story. This exact same thing. Christians have stolen everything that they have today. They've stolen it. They've taken from other religions, older religions. And then they don't even stick to their own Bible, their own works. So what's the point of calling yourself a Satanist? What's the point of calling yourself a practitioner of such and such a tradition? If you're not going to follow the creeds, you're not going to follow sect law, you're not going to follow this or that, what's the fucking point? Exactly. So with that said, have a good day. I'm going to go grab lunch. It's like almost 3 p.m. I've only been up for 3 hours. Damn, need more coffee. No, just kidding. Um, but yeah, I do need more coffee. I love coffee, especially when I'm studying and practicing. May even go into my altar room and do some more rituals today. Reflect and meditate. But with that said, have a good day. Thanks for coming on with me. And Otani, or was it Otani Journey? Like I said, I may have butchered your first name. I do apologize. So I will look out for that message. But like I said, just let me know that it's you. Okay? All right. Have a good one. And until next time.